So if you took John Boehner and Paul Ryan and what's his name from California,
Kevin McCarthy.
Kevin McCarthy, these are three gentlemen who were on our radar for years, in some case decades, before they became speaker, and they were all savvy enough to climb the greasy pole and become speaker. And all of them were swallowed up by the MAGA machine. All of them were forced from the job because it was just impossible to square the circle between the moderates and the MAGA. And here's this guy, Mike Johnson, who, Alex, had you heard of Mike Johnson 3 years ago? You
He
had.
was Bobby Jindal's
Uh,
driver
was he
when
really Bobby Jindal's driver? Was he?
when
Okay. So, all
Jindal
right.
was
So you had, but you hadn't thought of him as a speaker when he was driving for Bobby.
no.
Bobby Jindal was the governor of Louisiana, former congressman, Alex's client. I think Alex may have introduced me to him. Lovely guy, and apparently had a great driver. Hans, had you heard of Mike Johnson 3 years ago?
I had not.
Okay, and I hadn't either. And I will tell you, Rick Santorum, former congressman and senator from Pennsylvania, told me long ago, watch Mike Johnson. Watch Mike Johnson. I was like, whatever, Mike Johnson, like, what could be more generic? How is it, Hans, that this guy, who you and I, who cover things closely, hadn't heard of, turns out to be a pretty effective speaker, and in some ways, at least so far, more effective than these other more well-known Pauls? What are the tricks of the trade Mike Johnson is deploying to be so successful?
Well, there are two options here. One, Mike Johnson is basically a stealth fighter, right? He's the B2 of his class, and none of our radars picked him up. The more likely option, and I'll give you another two. Our radars are broken, right? As political reporters, he just wasn't on our radar. That happens to a lot of us a lot of times. Like, was Donald Trump really on anyone's firm political radar as the Republican nominee in 2014? 2014?
Go, I,
14,
I'll show you the transcript of my interview with him in 2011, dude.
okay. Well, your radar's better. Clearly, I need to.
Just
I
in
need
this
to go
case,
to the
but
radar.
not on Mike, but not on Mike
Yeah.
Johnson. It wasn't.
And the other probability, and I don't want this to come across negative because, like, if Johnson wins tonight, it's his fifth, somewhat by my count, improbable win, right?
Yeah,
He had
yeah.
a hat trick earlier in the year. Getting a CR, I mean, a continuing resolution through the House of Representatives is always difficult. It looks like tonight's gonna be drama free. Like, I shouldn't front
Yeah.
run it that much, but like, I mean, how late is this vote going to be held open? We're not expecting to be held open that long. Is
And,
Donald Trump
and
going to?
if this were Ryan or Boehner or McCarthy, we'd all be talking about like horse trading and holdouts and press conferences. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, he's learned from his predecessors.
Yeah.
And Johnson has held President Trump tighter than most. But then it's not even close. And then sort of the other sort of slight hedge on this is it's still early, right? He hasn't been speaker that long.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. And so there are other things that can, I mean, let alone the election in November, he has other challenges ahead of him. But like, has he been underestimated? Absolutely. Has he passed consequential legislation or just keeping the lights on legislation with historically low margins? Yes. Did Washington expect him to do that? No. So yeah, he's surprised on the upside. I suppose it helps to be underestimated sometimes.
Yeah. Alex, is he a genius? I mean, like what are the traits that he's using to understand human nature? Like, what is it?
He has a genius gift, and that is to be underestimated.
Yeah.
They say you can't beat somebody with nobody. Sometimes in a polarized environment, you can only beat somebody with a nobody. And it's non-threatening. If he were a fierce advocate for one side or the other, if he were polarized, then he wouldn't be the Gerald Ford-like figure that he is. No matter where you are in the splits in the Republican Party, he's kind of okay. And anybody else you'd pick, well, he'd be one of their guys. So I think that's his great gift, and I think it gives him longevity. I think he could be around for a long time.
Yeah.
Who else is there that wouldn't polarize?
Yeah, and his number two and his number three both wanted to be speaker and were higher up the poll, and both were blocked, and they're now his deputies. Hans, has anybody written a great piece about Mike Johnson explaining all this? Has anybody written that?
You apparently aren't reading Smart Brevity every night. I mean, must you wound me?
No, I mean I literally read you every night. But I'm talking about
yeah,
like
it's a fair point.
I'm talking about
where's
a
the New Yorker?
Yeah, the New
Yeah,
Yorker piece.
let's
Because
just sign it right now.
because if
Dexter
you, yeah,
Filkins
Dexter
or
Filkins.
George Packard. Remember when George Packard did the
Yeah,
Merkel
I
profile? It was
did. I
awesome.
did. It was amazing.
So
He's
yeah,
incredible.
let's,
If
yeah.
he were a Democrat and having this record of accomplishment with a caucus, in this case, conference, so historically unwieldy, he'd be getting these long pieces, and he deserves it.
More importantly, reporters would be getting book deals to write books
Yeah,
on it.
they would be. They would be. And
And big
you
books.
said, as you said, it's early, but I find it staggering how successful he is. Anyway, so the vote's happening tonight at some point, and as Hans suggested, and I said
7:15.
7:15. So shortly after we finish up here. Here's the speaker himself previewing the night's events. Number 2, please.
Morning. Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to come out and say that we believe the long national nightmare will be over tonight. It was completely and utterly foolish and pointless in the end, as we said all along. I just want to apologize to any Americans who are out there who still have flight cancellations or delays today. I want to apologize to the many American families who were made to go hungry over the last several weeks, our troops and other federal employees who are wondering where their next paycheck would come from. All of that's on the Democrats. Just never forget, they voted 15 times between the House and the Senate to close your government. And the Republicans tried every single day of the shutdown to open it. And we voted 15 times to do that. They have a lot to answer for. And I just want to say that we're very optimistic about the vote tally tonight. We think this is going to happen. And we're sorry that it took this long. So Republicans are going to deliver for the people. We're ready to get back to our legislative agenda. We have a very aggressive calendar for the remainder of this year. There'll be some long days and nights here, some long working weeks, but we will get this thing back on track. So thank you all. Stay tuned for more tonight.
Mr. Speaker, do you have any reaction to the emails from House?
A crawfish popsicle would melt in that man's mouth. CozyEarth.com for 40% off. Use the code 2-way. Black Friday comes early, an opportunity to buy the sheets, the blankets, including the bubble cuddle blanket, and then the joggers, the pants that Sean loves so much. And many of you have already bought and told me how much you love them. And as I've said before, if you're a gentleman and you buy the pants, guaranteed, or your money back. Your spouse will tell you how good you look in them. All of it's super comfortable. It's viscose made from bamboo, available now. Black Friday comes early, as I said. Use the code 2-way, 40% off the whole site. Blankets, towels, shirts, soft, really well made, and available now, 40% off. Go to CozyEarth.com. Use the promo code 2-way. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. And for the price, you'll be surprised at how luxurious it is, I think, because it's very affordable, particularly with 40% off.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the 2-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and 2-way tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.